Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Tyolon and we are back with a happy New Year's. It is the year of 2025. So first and foremost, I would like to wish you all a happy new year. Wishing you all the best for this year. Let's go out and get it. With the new year, that means that there was a winter sale on Steam as well as an Xbox sale. And that means I've accumulated a whole bunch of new games. In addition to that, that means that last year, the backlog has come to a close. I didn't nearly get as much gaming done as I was hoping, didn't get through nearly as many games as I was hoping, so my backlog continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And thus, we have created a random generator because as I accumulated more games from the sale and I had a backlog of last year, I needed to come up with a strategic way of trying to tackle a few more games this year. I was overwhelmed with the decision to pick a game. I just couldn't do it. I was staring there at the screen, looking at what game do I start with, and then realized, all these games are on my list and I want to tackle them eventually. So I'm going to try to hit as many of these games in the year of 2025. So a lot of these games are brand new. I just bought them with the sale. On top of that, though, there is a few games that were on the backlog, as well as games I just wanted to revisit, games that just hold a special place in my heart that I've been wanting to tackle for a long time. So you'll see a few sagas in there. That means that I will play every title associated to each saga if it comes up. I'll mention if it's new, I'll mention if it's old, but really I am just an undecisive person and I figured this might be a way to help me pick a game. So as you can see here, we have 28 titles to pick from. A few of those titles are sagas, so they're going to have probably 2 to 3 games, with the odd one maybe having even a 4th game in there. I think really the only ones I think out the back is XCOM Saga might have 4 if we include Chimera Squad. Mass Effect has about 4, but everything else should be around 2 to 3 games for those Saga games, and everything else is a standalone game. So, without further ado, as you can see, we have the spin wheel here. I've put in all 28 titles. So, if you take a look here, we have Age of Mythology, Atomic Hearts, Banisher, Blacktail, Detroit Become Human, the Hellblade Saga, Inscription, Mass Effect Saga, Mutant Football, Old World, Plague's Tale Saga, The Quarry, South Park Stick of Truth. I was thinking of maybe getting the Saga, but I didn't quite purchase Snow Day. I wanted to start with the Stick of Truth. We'll see if I enjoy it enough, and if Snow Day goes on sale, I might make it the Saga. We have the State of Decay Saga, Terminator Resistance, and that should bring us to near the end. Note there's a few more here. Trials by Fire, Warhammer Space Marines Saga, Warhammer Realms of Ruin, Warhammer Underworlds, The Witcher Saga, Shadows of Mordor and War Saga, and the XCOM Saga. We also have Nobody Wants to Die. That was kind of a sneaky game that made it to my purchase list without me even going about looking at it. It just happened to come across. It was also the one time I saw an Xbox sale cheaper than a Steam sale. Very odd. Typically that does not happen, hence why I've slowly started to cater towards becoming a PC gamer. For years, I was set on being an Xbox player, wasn't even entertaining any other console, but with the sales and with my friend group, started to make the shift to PC. So Xbox, Microsoft, do better. Steam, keep it up, going with those massive sales. Then we also have Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Massive Chalice, Mountain Blade 2, Bannerlord, the Titanfall Saga, and Hogwarts Legacy. That brings us to all 28 entries. Now, like I said, a lot of those are new titles, but a lot of them are backlog or carryover titles, or titles I really wanted to revisit going into this new year. So, if you're like me and you are undecisive, maybe this is the best option for you. Put in all your games, give it a spin, and play. But without further ado, I would like to try and go for a spin here. So what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle up the titles, give it a couple spins. Now, what I'd like to do, since it's the first game of the year, I'm going to spin it a few times, and I was debating on whether I should spin it fully through and just get the order of what the games I'm going to play throughout the year, or if I should just spin, get 3 results, and pick from those 3 each time. Now, with this being new to the channel and with me trying to get more games this year, if you see any games on this list that you'd like to see reviewed or played on this channel, please do let me know in the comments going forward. I'm going to probably reference this spin wheel a few times this year, but if I start to hear from the community, I will ensure to try to play games in that order. So make sure to get your vote in by commenting on the videos or liking the videos. And if there's any additional games you'd like to see reviewed or played here on that channel, I'm definitely open to adding more games. That always sucks because the backlog is so massive and the time to play games this day is just going down and down. But I am definitely open to game suggestions and always open to trialing new games. So if you want to see anything or if you see anything on the list, please do let me know in the comments down below. Now, I think what I am going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and spin the wheel, and I'm going to get the order of my gameplays throughout the year. I think that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to spin the wheel 28 times. Each time a title is selected, it will be deleted from the wheel, and we will start again with the new titles there, and we will try to see what order of games will be. Again, if you guys start to comment or if you start to like some of the content and you want to see games jump ahead in the list, because of course we all like to be, going into the year thinking we're gonna get so many games done, but we know how upsets and things and life just happens to get in the way. So if you want to see a game played, let me know. I am more than willing to make it a priority. And again, if you want to see a new game added to the list, let me know as well. But without further ado, let's spin the wheel. So I'm going to go ahead, and I know that the results came up first. I was just testing it. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those results. I'm going to go back to the entries here. And now what we'd like to do is we're going to go ahead and shuffle it. So we're going to shuffle it a few times here. I don't know if it's actually shuffling here. Hopefully it is. I don't know if I've got to highlight them all or something. Do I got to highlight them and hit shuffle? I'm hoping it's just shuffling them. If not, I'm all good with that. Maybe if we go A to Z. So that does. Okay, and now shuffle. Shuffle. No, now they're stuck. I don't know if the shuffle feature is truly working. That's okay. We're just going to hit spin. Let's go ahead and hit spin and see where this takes us. So, with the new year here, drum roll please as we bring in the first game to be played on the channel here for the calendar year of 2025. It is going to be Trials by Fire. Interesting. Okay. This was kind of one of those games where I forgot I had put it in my cart, bought it, and as I was reviewing the receipt list of games I had bought on the winter sale, this was one of those games that came up. Trial by Fire will be the first game of 2025 played here on my channel, Tyolon. Let me know if you have played this game before or if it's new and you haven't heard. I'd like to hear from you in the comments down below. As always, if it interests you, make sure you are turning on those notifications to follow along as we play through this game. And lastly, I will leave a review on my thoughts of the game. First game of 2025 will be Trials by Fire. So without that, let's go ahead and close that. I'm going to go ahead and find Trials by Fire, if I can find it. Or did it already delete it? Nope, there it is. We're going to go ahead and delete Trials by Fire. And we are going to go ahead and start the spin again to see what game comes next. Nobody Wants to Die. I am excited to jump into that game. Glad that's going to be a second one and early in the year. I'm really looking forward to playing that game. It was one of those games where I really didn't expect to find it. I stumbled upon it while looking at sales in the store. And like I said, it was the first time an Xbox game was cheaper than a Steam game. So very, very odd in that case. Don't know if it plays better on the Steam or on PC. But we'll trial it here. It will be for an Xbox review. I think that might be one of the only Xbox games on there. There's actually, no, there's a few. I lied. But I am looking forward to playing that game nonetheless. That'll be game number 2 of the calendar year of 2025. So excited for that one for sure. Excited for Trials by Fire as well. Don't know what the game time is looking like for both those games, but that's definitely probably going to keep me busy for a little while. But without further ado, we're going to do a spin again. Now, can I shuffle them anymore? I want to try to shuffle, but I don't know if it's going to let me shuffle. Shuffle feature doesn't seem to work on this website. That's okay. Let's go ahead and find out what game number 3 of 2025 is going to be. We have a Plague Tale Saga. Nice. I have also been looking forward to jumping into that game again. I played the original, the first one, but I have not played the second. Really looking forward to jumping into that. I don't know if I actually own the original one. I believe I played that back when I was doing a trial with Game Pass. So let's go ahead and scoop that game up super quickly. But again, another game I am looking very, very close, or very another game I am looking forward to playing. There we go. Been a little bit of a morning there trying to catch up. There's just so many games. So now if we delete a Plague Tale, I don't know if by hitting remove it'll get rid of that or not, but let's go ahead and get rid of a Plague Tale. And you know what? I don't know if I'm, now let's see. Game number 4 here of year 2025. We have the Hellblade Saga, another saga I am really looking forward to playing. When I first played this, I played it on the Xbox, and again, it was another Game Pass game. I've gone ahead and bought it on Steam just because the sale was significantly better. So I now own both Hell Saga, or both Hell Saga, Sinuwa's Hellblade 1 and 2. So that is going to be game number 4. I think what we'll do is we will do 12 games, because that's at least a game a month. And as everyone knows here on the channel, if you are new, I am a bit of a completionist in the sense that I will try to get nearly all the achievements possible for a game in a single playthrough. Now, if it requires a second playthrough, it'll probably go back on the backlog unless the playthrough is quick or the game time is quick or it's just easy to get a few of the last minute achievements. But I am a bit of a completionist, and that is why my backlog continues to grow. I'm slowly adopting away from that just to try and get a little bit more gameplay in, new games in, as well as, tackling that backlog, getting some new games in, playing new games when they're new instead of waiting years before they're old again. And in addition, trying to get a little bit more reviews out for you guys so you guys are aware of the games out there and seeing what my take is to help you buy and guide through these games. So, looking forward to Hellblade Saga nonetheless. We will spin the wheel for 12. Assuming I can play a game a month, we'll be pretty happy if I'm playing as a completionist. If I'm not, that's when I'm hoping to get through the rest of the backlog. Without further ado, let's go ahead and delete Hellblade from the list. Now, where is Hellblade Saga? I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing Hogwarts. Where are you? There it is. All right, and away we go with Hellblade. On to the next. Let's go ahead and spin to see what game number 5 is. Taking us to May. May gonna be, it was almost Atomic Hearts, but it's gonna be Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I feel like that's going to take me a very long time. I remember when they announced Valhalla a few years ago, I was super stoked for Assassin's Creed to finally be going into the Norwegian and the Viking phase. I was super happy. That's a huge, huge time frame. I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of the Viking show as well. So I figured like that was my chance to relive almost like Ragnar Lothbrok and just go in and pillage villages and conquer. Really looking forward to that. I started playing it. I think I got maybe 5 hours of game time into it, and that was it. Just didn't find the time, slowly became on the back burner, one of those games that ended up in my backlog that I really wanted to play. And I made a vow not to play another Assassin's Creed game until I completed Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So I definitely want to beat that. I think the last Assassin's Creed game I played was Odyssey. Fantastic game. I played it just before going to Greece. So I was training up, getting familiar with the lay of the land, some history. Fantastic game. If you haven't played Odyssey, I highly, highly recommend it. It's probably one of the most enjoyable Assassin's Creed I had played since Black Flag, but everyone knows Black Flag is the OG, the GOAT, the GOAT. So go ahead and do yourself a favor if you haven't played either of those Assassin's Creeds. Looking forward to Valhalla. I feel like it got some mixed reviews, so let's see if I enjoy it or not. Again, if you're seeing any games on this list, make sure that you let me know if you've played them, what your thoughts are. Again, please no spoilers. Please no spoilers. But at least let me know what you thought of the games. Let me know if you think the games so far are good. Want to hear from you guys by all means. So jump into the comments at any time and make sure to turn on those notifications so you don't miss when the games I select you'll want to see played are on this channel. Now, without further ado, let's close that. Let's go ahead and delete Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Kaboom! That's one less one to go. Here we go. give it another spin. Man, I really wish the shuffling feature would work. It's too bad that it doesn't. I almost wish it wasn't in alphabetical order as well, but that's okay. It's a free website. It's working. And let's just go ahead and give it a spin to see what game number 6 is going to be. Game number 6 is going to be a good one. That is a great month, June, and it is going to be Warhammer Space Marines. Yes, I was actually hoping that was going to come up a little bit earlier. I might jump a little bit ahead in the sense that there is a campaign with a friend I'm going to run through. I've heard that you can play it solo. I've also heard that you can play the campaign with friends, so I'm definitely probably going to be playing the campaign with a friend here a little bit early in the year, but I will also be playing the game solo, and that is when that review and the gameplay will be posted. With me and my friend, I'll make some comments on it to let you guys know the thought process around two-player or co-op campaign play, and I will also be probably meddling with the multiplayer as well. I'll make some notes. All of that will be captured in the review once I run through it solo as well later in June, which is a good time. That is my birth month, so I'm really looking forward to it. That is also summer though, so it might be a little bit tough. I did recently run through Space Marines 1 Game of the Year edition, so looking forward to revisiting that one. That was a pretty quick run through. I think gameplay total time was 6 to 8 hours roughly. Didn't take all that long, so we'll jump through, rip through that, and then we will play Space Marines 2 as well. Looking forward to that month as well. Playing a lot of Warhammer recently, mostly Age of Sigmar, but every time I play this, I am very tempted to make the switch to 40k. So let's go ahead and close that, and let's go ahead and delete it. So Warhammer Space Marines Saga added to the list. All right, we are halfway through the year now. Let's go ahead and see what games remain. We still have 22 titles to pick from. Fingers crossed, like I said, I want to get through all 28. I just think that's a lot to chew. I know how life gets in the way. I know it's going to be busy. So one game a month is pretty good in my mind. But we do have a couple titles in there that I know are going to be some long grinds. Assassin's Creed games take a long time. So we'll see if any other games come up. But let's go ahead and give the wheel a spin here. What are we going to be playing in July? We've got the XCOM saga. We are going to have 2 back-to-back sagas that are going to take a lot of time. This is where I think even 12 games in a year might take some time. Now, the nice thing about XCOM is I don't know if I actually have gotten all the achievements. That's a lie. I was going to say I've gotten most of the achievements, so the run should be fairly quick. This is a game I'm revisiting. XCOM is so good. If you have not played XCOM, please do yourself a favor. Go play XCOM, especially if you are a fan of turn-based strategy games. It is a beautifully crafted game. There is permadeath on certain difficulties, so please do keep that in mind. The game can be brutal, it can punish you, but it is super, super rewarding, and I just find it so rich that every move you can make could potentially end up with you losing one of your best players. And when that player is gone, they're gone. It is just like real life. I love the realism of it. I like how brutal it is. I think it really makes you think about your actions a little bit more thoroughly. You're not just going to run in there, guns a-blazing. It is a strategic game. It is almost like a game of chess. You got to be a few levels ahead of your players. Sometimes the game is ridiculous, I will admit, but you have to just laugh at the chaos, especially if you're playing at the higher difficulties. There is nothing more infuriating than missing a shot that has a 90% to 99% chance of hitting and you completely miss, and then they go ahead and kill your soldier. It's just mass chaos, but you know what? It is real life. I loved it. You make the characters, build them like they're real characters in your life. When I played through it, it was my friend group, had a lot of fun when characters were dying. There was tears, you get emotionally connected. Just a beautifully crafted game. Really looking forward to the saga. Chimera Squad, I'm a little bit hesitant to include in it, so we might see what I include in the XCOM saga. There's also the Brew. I'm not sure if we'll pull that in. I'll give some thoughts. If you would like to see either Chimera Squad or the Bureau added to that XCOM saga list, please do let me know. Definitely we'll be doing XCOM 1 Enemies Unknown, and we will be doing XCOM 2, and we will be doing all the DLC content within all of that. So let me know if you want to see the Bureau and you want to see Chimera Squad added to it. I could add the Bureau. I feel like I got so close to completing it, and then I just, for some reason, stopped. So I'm more than willing to revisit Bureau. Chimera Squad, also a game where I got a little bit into it. I was hoping to revamp that love for XCOM, and quickly found it to be very infuriating. There's a level or a certain, there's something to do with a path selection or a choice selection, and the choice I had made basically made it near impossible for me to complete the game. Didn't really love that that was kind of a mechanism in the game. More than willing to revisit those. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see those games going into this year. If you had similar problems with, the Bureau, or if you had similar problems with Chimera Squad, also let me know. More than willing to add them, but at this point, definitely going to be playing Enemies Unknown. Beautiful, fantastic game, as well as XCOM 2. So, so good. If you haven't done it, get them while they're on sale. Play the games. They are so good. So much fun. But enough about XCOM. We'll have a lot more video content on that. Let's go ahead and delete them. Looking forward to July there. All right, we got 21 more games to pick from. Let's go ahead and give the wheel a spin. And our game is Titanfall. Nice. This is another game we are going back to. So this is probably another reason as to why my backlog just continually gets bigger and bigger. I happen to just revisit games. I guess I'm just at that age where I appreciate games from my childhood, or games that held a pretty close grip on my heart. Titanfall was one of those games. It is so beautifully crafted. It is so much fun. Glad a first-person shooter game is in there. It's been a while since I've played a first-person shooter game. Tend to lean a lot more towards the strategy, turn-based RPG kind of stuff. So it's nice to have a little bit of a break there with Titanfall. Space Marines 2 will also be in there for a shooter game, but it's not first person, it's third person. But nonetheless, looking forward to Titanfall. Both beautiful games, number 1 and number 2. Don't think the multiplayer is probably going to be around again. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below, but I feel like maybe the server is probably down being this old, and or just there's just not enough people to be playing the games. I could be completely wrong, and it would be nice to revisit it. I will definitely try the multiplayer functions in any games, and I'll include that in the reviews for sure. So any solo, any DLC, any of the multiplayer I will include in my reviews, so make sure you follow along for all of that as well. But I'm looking forward to Titanfall. Fingers crossed that the multiplayer is still a thing. I loved the multiplayer function, and there was nothing more satisfying than getting your Titan to drop, getting in it, and punching through an opponent's Titan, ripping out their pilot, and just obliterating them. So much fun, such a satisfying game. One of the games in multiplayer where I actually significantly went higher in the rankings just because I enjoyed it so much. It was just a grind. I loved it. Lots of fun. Looking forward to revisiting that saga as well. Okay, let's go ahead and remove Titanfall now. We are getting down to the last few here. Where is Titanfall? I'll find you. I'll find you. There we are. Titanfall. Get rid of that now. Boom, boom, boom. Man, my keyboard is super loud and getting picked up on the mic. I apologize. Maybe it's a little bit of, satisfying noises to some, but sometimes it can be very loud. But nonetheless, that takes us into that was August. Let's see what we're playing for September. We've got Atomic Hearts. Beautiful. This is a new game. I am looking forward to Atomic Hearts. It's a first-person shooter followed by another first-person shooter. So that will be interesting, but I am looking forward to it nonetheless. Looks like a lot of fun. Looks a little crazy. Looks similar to another game series that's not coming to my head right now. I'm lost. If you know which one I'm trying to refer to, I feel like Wolfenstein is maybe what I'm thinking of. It kind of felt like it gives some flavors of it. I could be completely wrong. Who knows? But I feel like from what I've seen, what I've watched, Wolfenstein is kind of what jumps to my mind as a similar gameplay. But I could be completely wrong. One of those games where I didn't do too much research on it. Saw it on sale. Jumped on it. Thought the concept was very cool. Nothing like killing crazy, weird, mannequin-like robots. Might be a little scared to play it if there's jump outs and scares, but that's okay. That's all part of the fun. Maybe I'll play with a heart rate monitor on with that one. There's a few games, like even the Quarry there, if I play with a heart rate monitor to see if I chicken out or get scared. Could be a fun concept for sure. But Atomic Hearts, looking forward to that one come September. So, Atomic Hearts will get rid of their pachow. And now September, we are going into October. This is spooky season. Now I'm almost tempted to put The Quarry down just because it is October. I love playing spooky stuff during that October season. I usually read a lot of spooky books. Stephen King comes to mind, a lot of his writing I enjoy. I'll read his books. I'll watch a lot of horror movies. The Quarry is kind of on that same flavor. It plays similar to a horror movie. There's another company out there. Man, it's escaping my mind. Very similar. I think it's kind of like a Telltale game where you make choices. There's consequences. There's reactions to what you play. Again, I didn't really do too much research on the Quarry. I just decided to say, hey, you know what? I need a spooky game. This is it. Inscription looks a little bit spooky as well. I can see some flavors of spook in there. Mutant Football has skeletons and ghouls and stuff like that. So, there's that. Terminator is scary. State of Decay, Zombie. You know what? There's enough games on here, I think, that hopefully a spooky season game is picked. Let's go ahead and just leave it up to fate. Give it the spin. Watch it be the most friendly game. And Massive Chalice. Interesting. Okay. A little disappointed. I was really hoping for a bit of a different game in that sense. Massive Chalice is one of those games where I threw it on there just because I do want to revisit it. It's one of those games that was sneakily good. I don't think it got a lot of high praise. I feel like I watched it on one of those midnight shows, like what was it called? Like Electric Playground years ago, where they would do game reviews at midnight. It was one of those times where I just, was staying up all night, had sleep insomnia. I'd just be up, and I stumbled across Massive Chalice, and it was a pretty good game. There's a lot of really cool concepts that make it very, very unique, including bloodlines, and I really like the aspect that once your hero became a king or a queen, then that was it for their fighting days. They were no longer going into battle, but what they did generate was their bloodlines. Now, if they had traits that were either good or bad, there was that chance to pass it on to your kids. So some of them would have heart issues, which would decrease their life expectancy. And again, this is a game that has perma-death involved. So you had to be strategic. Very fun game, really good mechanics. Looking forward to replaying this game. So I threw it on there. Massive Chalice will be going in there. I still might sneak in a spooky movie, spooky game. Thinking more along the States of Decay saga and or the Quarry. There's a few games in there I think that might work a little bit better. Even Inscription might be one of those games that we kind of tuck in there. But we'll see. Even Mutant Football. I don't really think Mutant Football has a true campaign. It's just one of those things. I think there's a legacy thing where you can build like a 40-year term, almost similar to like franchise players in all the NHL or Madden games and stuff like that. So looking forward to that. But Massive Chalice is going on the list loosely for October. That might change. I know, I apologize if you don't like that choice. I apologize, but we might just have to put a spooky game in there. And I feel like the Quarry might be that happy medium. Can't see it being too long of a gameplay if it is a Telltale kind of choice, pick 'em, point 'em game. But yeah, looking forward to that. Still, Massive Chalice, definitely one of those games I wanted to revisit. So let's go ahead and delete it. And it's one of those games I wanted to revisit and review. So that's also why it's on there, which is another reason why some games are on that. Enjoyed it, want to capture it, review it, just have some fun with it. Okay, this brings us to November now. Let's see what game we are playing in November. We have Hogwarts Legacy. Good time to be bringing in Harry Potter, just shy of October spooky season. I'm good with Hogwarts falling in November there. Let's go ahead and delete it. I'll probably try to actually read the books around that time too, and I will also be watching the movies. I'm just going to make November my Harry Potter month, and with any luck here, I'll have some people join me on movie nights, and we can do a marathon. But I've always wanted to read the books. It's one of those series where, as an avid reader, I feel like it's a crime that I haven't read them. So I'm going to go ahead and read them. I've seen all the movies, and I hate when that happens. I hate when I've watched a movie and I have to go back and read the book. But it's been years. It has been many, many moons since I have seen Harry Potter movies. I feel like I went to go watch the Deathly Hallows Part 2 in theaters. So long, long time ago. Binge watched the entire series to go with my uncle. And I watched it in like 2 nights. So you know what? It was a marathon. It was a lot. I feel like it's probably worth revisiting this series, not only in the game, but also in the movies, as well as the books. Start with the books, lean into the video game, watch the movies, have some fun with it. But looking forward to it. November will be a Harry Potter themed month. Probably will carry into December and even maybe into January. It's a lot to watch, a lot of content. Harry Potter is endless sometimes. So, with Harry Potter gone, this brings us to the last game potentially of the year. Let's go ahead and give the wheel a spin. I'm going to try shuffling one more time. No, you don't want to do it. Okay. All right, that's fine. You do you. Let's go ahead and give it a spin here. Last game of 2025 looking like Shadow of Mordor. Yes. Okay. I was hoping it was going to make it. Again, I was hoping for a little sooner too, just because I've been watching a lot of gameplay recently, a lot of shorts. There is a YouTube channel. I do forget the name. If you know it, if you play a lot, let me know in the comments down below. Even if you're playing the game, I love watching this content and I do want to see and follow other creators. So I'd be more than happy if you are playing Shadow of War or Mordor. This is another game where if you have not played it, do yourself a favor. You don't even have to like Lord of the Rings to really get all out of this game, like get the most out of this game. Highly, highly recommend it to anyone who wants a fun game. The Genesis system, I believe that's what it's called, where the orcs are alive, the game is alive, it remembers your gameplays, it remembers your choices, it remembers your encounters, is so refreshing. It is beautifully crafted. There's a few bugs and a few things that do irritate you every now and then, but overall, the game is just so, so clean. I highly, highly, highly recommend playing both Mordor and War. They go so smoothly together, they don't take too much long. They can be as grindy as you want, or they can be as little grindy as you want. I grinded like crazy. I was one of those guys that I was playing, I was leveling up my orcs, I was killing weak orcs, making strong orcs take their place, putting them in the mosh pit together, having them fight. I just got so intertwined with this game. In fact, Shadow of Mordor holds a very, very special place in my heart because it is the first game I ever 100% completed in achievements. It meant that much to me. It was the first game I had ever completed in achievements. I then did its predecessor, Shadow of War, as well, the same way. Got all the achievements in both the DLC and the original run. So we will be playing both the DLCs, but just such a beautiful game. Beautiful game. I don't think the multiplayer function is a thing anymore. I think the server was taken down. Crying a little bit over that because the large-scale warfare of challenging other people's fortresses and fighting their orcs was so much fun, and there was permadeath in that as well. If you haven't noticed, I am a fan of realism and permadeath in games, and when you attacked other people's orcs online, if your orcs died during the siege, during the attack, they were killed. You would not get them back, and another orc would have to take their place. So much fun. It just made me want to run and save all my orcs, and then when you see one die, there's that emotional connection. I found myself loving these, big monstrosities that most people would probably be like, how can you love that? That's a face only a mother could love. And most people, typically don't like the orcs. I found myself falling, for these orcs. I felt like I was like, man, they felt like brotherhood. I felt like I needed to protect them and fight for them. And I really wanted them to do well and excel, especially when you've built one up. It was just like gut-wrenching to see one fall in combat, or a really rare good orc fall in combat. You're just like, no, please come back. Please tell me their head wasn't decapitated, because that is the only true way to make sure an orc stays dead. Really looking forward to that game. I'm glad that will close out 2025. So that brings us to the calendar year. That's 12 games. Really hoping that I can play a few more on here. Let's go ahead and get rid of Shadow of Mordor. And we'll review quickly the games that didn't quite make it to the year. So starting at the top there, Age of Mythology Retold. I was really looking forward to Age of Mythology Retold. Little disappointed that it won't be included. Age of Mythology holds a very, very, very special place in my heart. I played so much Age of Mythology back in the days. I had one friend from childhood that this is all we would do. We'd play Age of Mythology. We would go into editor mode. We'd create these massive battles. It was so much fun. I do have an idea for the channel here that involves Age of Mythology. So if that does pique your interest, let me know in the comments down below. I do want to have a segment dedicated to Age of Mythology, and I have a really fun idea for it. Really want to explore that. So if you want to see that content on the channel, please do let me know. Going down the list there, Detroit Become Human. This is another game where I had seen some snippets of gameplay here and there. I have no idea what it details, but I was really looking forward to kind of jumping into it. Little disappointed it's not on there. Again, I'm going to say that about all these games because it's just games I wanted to play, but time is of the essence. I got 12 games to go through, so I'm looking forward to a lot of them. With any luck, we'll progress through a few quicker than others, which means that I can get to these last 16 that were on the list. And I mean, there's always next year, right? If we have these 16 here that I don't get through, they'll go onto the backlog of next year. And it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm just, it's part of life. I'm starting to accept that as I'm getting older, but nonetheless. Moving on, we have Blacktail. Blacktail, I feel like, is one of those games where, again, I stumbled across it, no idea what to expect going into it. I think it's a first-person shooter game, but you shoot arrows. You're playing this archer, looking forward to it. It looked unique, and it was kind of a nice spin on first-person shooters, so I was kind of happy about that. Just wanted something new, something different, refreshing, threw in Blacktail. South Park Stick of Truth, heard great things about this game for years. Really looking forward to it. I love South Park, enjoy it. I think it's gritty. I think it's hilarious. I think it's, politically correct, and sometimes it just plays on certain aspects that you can't help but laugh at because the world is just absolutely crazy at times, and South Park loves to drive and dig into that. Looking forward to the Stick of Truth. But again, just didn't make it on that list. Hopefully we'll see it. Inscription, I've heard, just go into this game blind. Great, overwhelming reviews. I think it's a card-based game. Again, one of those games where as soon as I read one of the comments saying, just go into it blind. Don't do any research. Don't do nothing. Go into Inscription blind, which is fully what I intend to do. So I'm not even going to try to speak on it. Inscription, I think it's a card-based game. Looks a little spooky, looks a little creepy. Some elements of card play I have no idea what are, but you know what? We're going to play it nonetheless, hopefully in this year. But it didn't quite make it to the list. Mass Effect Saga, I'm almost kind of happy that didn't quite make it on the list just because it's so long to play. I played the original one and I didn't quite get through it all the way, and I was borrowing the game at the time. This was back when we had disc games, physical games. Now everything's digital. But it was a disc game I was borrowing from a friend in high school. He wanted to replay the entire saga, so he wanted number 1 back. I ended up giving it back to him, and I never revisited the series again. So I wanted to put it on there, jump back into it. I have the entire saga now, so it would be nice to play through it. I've heard it's a lot of fun, but yeah, we'll see if that makes it onto there. Bannerlord is another game that is just so massive. I played this, and it was so much fun. I had so much fun. I had a friend recommend it to me. Great suggestion. So good. And another one of these games where if you haven't played it, highly recommend it. If you are into large-scale warfare, a big old medieval sandbox, a game that really doesn't hold your hand, and it's just limitless. Yeah, it's really up to you to figure out life in the medieval age. That was a bit of a tongue twister, but that's really what this game is intended for. You can do so much. You can become a wealthy trader. You can become a warlord. There's just endless possibilities on what this game is. I had so much fun with it, and it's one of those games where you just have to do several replays, and it's okay to fail in the first or a few runs. I had to restart the game. I played it again. I got super far, but then I got to a point where I had too many castles, too many soldiers. I couldn't pay for them. It was frustrating, so I failed to do, resource management, and it just became too much. I had like 4 or 5 children, which is good in that game because if you have children and your main character dies, apparently you get to live on through them. Love that aspect. I think it's so much fun to build a legacy. So I was really looking forward to jumping into that game, but another one that would probably take a long time. So I'm okay with it not being quite on the list, but I might revisit it from time to time, especially if I'm craving just a big old warfare. Like, it's so much fun just to charge on these sieges. My one tip, do not be the first person up a ladder in a siege. Just going to leave it at that, but do not be the first person to go up a ladder in a siege. If you think you're all hero and mighty and you could charge up a ladder, don't. Just don't. Don't do it. Don't do it. Learn from my mistake. Do not do it. Moving on here, we had Old World. Old World is another one of those games where I didn't look too much into it. I'm trying to think now, what was the description of Old World? It was something to do with, I feel like it was empire management, city management, one of those kind of games. It's almost similar to like Civilizations or Rome or something like that. Threw it on there, it looked interesting, the price was right. We'll try to see if we can revisit that next year. Mutant Football, that's one of those games where it might still make it into the list this year. It's just kind of a fun arcade game. I bought it, it was cheap. If I enjoy it, maybe we'll get the DLC content if it goes on sale. Don't know what's included with the base game, so I'm hoping not everything is behind a paywall, especially with the multiple factions. Might be one of those games I sneak into spooky season, again with the query, just because I don't think the gameplay is going to take too long on those games. There is a legacy mode, but I've heard that is a little broken, not that great. I think you can simulate years just like franchise mode in Madden, FIFA, and hockey. So I might sneak that in just because I need a sports game every now and then. I'm trying to wean off of franchise mode in hockey just because I spend so much time. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why my backlog gets bigger and bigger and bigger, because I play franchise modes and I play them to a big extent. I play the full 25 years. I think it's 25 years. I will make spreadsheets and stats and see my trades and review contracts. I take it to a whole new level, and it's just so time consuming. I said, you know what? I watch hockey. I'm now playing it on Xbox. I'm playing it outside. I'm playing it indoors. Let's just wean off of hockey a little bit. So Mutant Football might make it into there just if I'm craving a sport game. Warhammer Underworld Shadespire Edition. This is just a game I threw in there because I wanted to see what it was like. I've seen the tabletop game. I've been playing a lot of Age of Sigmar, like I mentioned. Just wanted to see how Underworld's played and if it was a game I wanted to physically get into with the tabletop board game. But we'll see. Terminator Resistance, a little sad that didn't make it into there. That's another first-person shooter I was looking forward to. Haven't touched or dabbled into the Terminator series or realm for a very long time until recently. Started watching Terminator Zero on Netflix. Highly recommend it if you haven't watched it yet. Great anime. But I will be reviewing some Terminator stuff there later. But I feel like I just want to revisit that that world. You know, Skynet, the whole world falling to the machines, the Terminators. I think it's such a cool concept. I think with AI coming out, it is a true fear of many people, and you know, a stark reminder and warning of the potential possibility or outcome if we give AI and or robots too much power. Love the flavors of the Terminator, love that world, just wanted to revisit it. So Terminator Resistance was on sale. Threw it in there for another first-person shooter to try and mix things up. Next, we have The Quarry. Definitely think I'm going to be throwing that in October. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be pretty quick, I would imagine. I think it's one of those games where it's a telltale game or kind of like a point-and-click game where you make choices. There's dialogue, this, that. There's repercussions for your actions. If you don't respond quick enough, you die, kind of things like that. It is based kind of around a scary movie setting, so I think we will put that on the list come October. But again, didn't quite make it to the list there, so we'll leave it there for now. The Witcher Saga. Oh, man. Witcher is another one that holds a dear place for me just because I jumped in at Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So I have never actually played Witcher 1. I have never played Witcher 2, and I jumped right in at Witcher 3. I loved Witcher 3. I thought it was a gorgeous game. In fact, it was the first game I ever left a review on. So if you go to trueachievements.com, you will see my review there. It is the first ever review I've done, so please, you know, go in with a grain of salt and don't be too critical of it. But I did enjoy it so much that I felt obligated to leave a review, and I felt like the review at the time that was on True Achievements just didn't do it justice. I wanted to give it a little bit more juice, a little bit more oomph. Great game. Another one of those games where if someone's like, hey, recommend me a game, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. You don't have to play Witcher 1 and 2 in order to enjoy Witcher 3. I did. I played all the DLCs, which it was like the first time the DLC content was so clean. It was just so good. There's been DLCs, paid walls, all this stuff that comes out these days, and it is getting a little bit redundant. You know, it's getting a little annoying, and I feel like sometimes developers are becoming a little lazy. First time I can gladly say the DLC contents were so good. Highly recommend you get the gold edition, whatever it is. Get it with all the DLC content. You will not regret it. It is so much fun. The main gameplay is so good. I think you'll get a little bit more out of it if you do play Witcher 1 and 2. I've also heard people say just skip 1, jump right into 2 because 1's combat was kind of clunky and annoying. I've always just wanted to revisit it. I have the books, so it's one of those things where it's similar to Harry Potter. I have the books, so I was going to read the books, I was going to watch the Netflix series, and then I was going to play the games. So I'm glad that I only have one of those this year, which is Hogwarts and Harry Potter. I don't think I could do it for both The Witcher as well as Harry Potter. That's a lot of time. But we'll see. Maybe we'll get around to it. One of those series I just wanted to revisit. Witcher 3, another game. I put 500 hours into it. I played 2 run-throughs and I got every single achievement, including the Gwent achievement, which my only recommendation without any spoilers is if you're going to go after achievement hunting in this game, make sure to go after the Gwent achievement first, which is collecting every card in the Gwent series. Play Gwent, fell in love with it, so much fun, enter the tournaments, talk to key players, get the cards, because the only little thing I can say, and it might be a bit of a spoiler, so skip the next 10 seconds if you want, but the only thing I can say, and I think it's more advice, not so much a spoiler, but if a character dies and they were meant to give you a Gwent card, or there was a chance to challenge them in Gwent and receive a card for beating them, that card's gone. And you will immediately miss out on that achievement, and it is so, so frustrating. So please do yourself a favor. If you want to do achievement hunting, go after Gwent and play at the max difficulty as well. And or the second hardest difficulty, because there are achievements that are associated to the difficulty. I feel like that's why I ended up having to play it twice. I enjoyed it, so I didn't mind going back and playing it twice. But I do remember looking at the last achievement or last 2 achievements, and one of them was had to do with the difficulty, playing it at the hardest difficulty. So I went back, ran it through. But you know what? It's okay to play it once through. I think I played it at the second hardest difficulty, which really trained me. And then by the time it was the hardest difficulty, it was, I was used to the combat, became an easier transition. So maybe that's the strategy to go ahead and do it. I will say, though, that the combat takes a little bit of getting used to. When I first played Witcher, I thought I was going to lose it. I didn't like the aesthetics, but eventually it won me over. And I really didn't like the combat because I didn't understand what it was like to fight a monster. I thought it was going to be a hack 'em, slash 'em. Let's go have some fun killing monsters. I got killed by a drowner in my first encounter. A drowner. That's right, a drowner. Now, most people who have played the game will probably laugh and roll their eyes because a drowner they're not difficult to slay once you understand the game, but I just didn't get it. I was getting my ass handed to me by this drowner, so I highly, highly recommend, looking at the combat, give it a trial. Don't wean off it if you didn't enjoy it. Give it some time. It won me over, and I'm so, so happy I stuck with it. Witcher is such a good game. Moving on to Banisher's Ghosts of Eden. This was another one of those games that kind of snuck onto the list, saw the sale price, thought it was very, very different, which is one of the reasons I bought it. I like to explore new game genres, new game styles, new gameplays every now and then, and Banisher's Ghost of New Eden was kind of supposed to be that one-off where didn't really know it, kind of wanted to throw it in. Sale price was good, reviews looked not bad, so I went ahead and put it in the list. I don't truly know too much about it. I think it has to do with you play 2 partners. One is passing, so they've died and they're kind of passing into the new world. And you kind of float between both worlds because you're fighting to save your loved one. Something along the lines of that. I could be completely out for lunch. If you've played the game and you know a better description, let me know in the comments down below. But one of those games I wanted to go into blind and have some fun with, so it's thrown in there. State of Decay. Man, that saga has been on my backlist for a very, very, very long time. Love every gameplay footage I've seen of State of Decay. I think it's one of those games as well that has permadeath. So checks off a box right away. Zombie killing, checks off another box. I think it's one of those fun games. Was really hoping that it would sneak into the October-November timeframe. Didn't quite make it. Do think with it being a saga, it's probably going to take a little bit longer, a little bit more time. So not sure if State of Decay will make it onto the list again this year, which sucks. This is like the 3rd year it's been on my backlog. I will play you one day. I promise. So let me know if you want to see that jump up in the ranks. Again, any game that didn't make it into the 12 are still up for grabs. And if you want to see one of those games played sooner rather than later, please let me know. We're going to have a couple wildcard slots, especially if I finish a game before the month's end. I'm going to look for a game to fill that void. If you want to see a game on this list, even off this list, you just want to see it on this channel, want to know my opinion, reviews, gameplay, achievements, all that fun stuff, please let me know in the comments below. I want to make this channel all about community and sharing the love of gaming and just coming together and having a good time. We have Warhammer Realms of Ruin on there. This came in with mixed reviews. I feel like it's going to be another one of those games by Warhammer where they tried it, it didn't do too well. Since there wasn't a market for it, they just said, you know what, we're abandoning it. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's exactly what happened with Stormground, which was just a shell of a game. I really enjoyed Stormground. I just played it last year, so it was my year-end game. I was playing Age of Sigmar Stormground. I enjoyed it. I think there was a lot of potential there, but there just wasn't a market for it, and it quickly lost traction. The game was very difficult, so I can also see why people probably shied away from it. Warhammer is notorious for being really difficult, especially with its turn-based games. I find that the AI is just ruthless to the point where sometimes you're just like, you can't help but laugh at the chaos. There's times where I have rage quit. I will be honest. Especially when I'm looking at like Mutant Bowl, which is another reason why I put Mutant Football on, because I've played Mutant Bowl before, which is an Age of Sigmar, or sorry, a Warhammer game based with fantasy football, medieval fantasy football. A lot of fun, but man, the AI system just seemed to always have the edge on me, and my characters are either getting killed or getting hurt. And again, another game that has permadeath, so it was fun. And Age of Sigmar, Warhammer is notorious for permadeath games in their turn-based games, especially if you're building a war band. Mordheim is another game where a lot of fun, but very frustrating. So I wanted to put a new Warhammer game on there. The price was right. It was cheap. Just randomly threw it in there. But without further ado, I think that brings us to the end of the list. So a little sad about the 16 that didn't quite make it, but like I said, this is an open channel. I want this community to be engaged. I want to have impact from you guys, feedback from you guys. So if any of the 16 games outlined there, that didn't make the 12 list, let me know. I'll try to work it into my schedule as best as possible. But as we can see here, we'll go to the results and review them again. This is what our month is looking at. I will have a schedule posted on the channel. Make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss when I'm playing the games you guys want to see reviews on, want to see gameplay, want to see achievement hunting, all that fun stuff. Definitely don't want to miss a beat, so make sure you turn on those notifications. If you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. I do appreciate you all so much for being here and spending some time with me. I'm looking forward to 2025. This is a pretty strong list. A pretty good balance too of some sagas, some standalone games, some new games, as well as some old classic nostalgia games. So I am looking forward to it. But like I said, this is just the 12 I'm going to aim to complete. We might add a few more here and there. You never know. Life is crazy, and I do want to hear from you guys. So with that, thank you all so much. I wish you all the best in 2025. I'm curious to know your guys' game lists as well, so please feel free to let me know in the comments down below. Are we sharing any games similar this year? Maybe we're playing the same games. I'd like to see your guys' thoughts on it, see your playthrough. By all means, please do leave a comment down below, subscribe, like, comment, share, any of that all goodness. I truly do appreciate it. Till next time, this is Tyolon signing out. Thank you again all so much, and wishing you all a happy new year.